will a medical doctor work for 9 months, 16 months, 19 months without getting paid?
But you see how much kidnappers are paying for victims.
My thing is, government should I think all the stakeholders in this get that, and I think we get that. The 3% for the oil producing community is too low.
So the support that is needed, and once you get the support, your energy will blossom.
This is Nigeria. You need to give people sense of belonging.
Good morning. Welcome to the last edition of Inside Nigeria on Leadership Television this Friday morning, January 21st, 2022. And of course, my name is Winnie Feligodo, and I'm having with me in the studio a public affairs analyst, Mr. Majid Tahir. Majid,
It's a pleasure to be here too.
thank you so
Good
much.
morning.
We have 4 newspapers on review this morning. We have Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership, the sister publication, National Economy, THISDAY newspaper, and Tribune newspaper. We are starting with our staple, Leadership. Leadership this morning is leading with the alleged planned fuel hike, and it says governors move to avert planned protest over fuel price hike. Governors move to avert planned protest over fuel price hike. On the rider says to meet labor, NEC takes position in June. Nigerian Labour Congress vows to go on with protest, says its labor communication too. Abdul Salami, Baba Ahmed warned of hardship, inflation, and still on fuel price hike is what Nigerian Tribune has on its cover this morning. Let's see Nigerian Tribune. It says decision on petrol subsidy removal to come in June. NEC says NNPC unable to remit 200 billion naira to FAC due to subsidy payment. Governors to meet labor on planned removal of subsidy. Fayemi, that is the chairman of Nigerian Governors Forum, Ekiti State Governor Fayemi, will not watch federal government inflict hardship on workers, says Labour. Mr. Majid, 2 papers today, the stories on fuel, petrol subsidy removal. What do you have to say? But it's something that has to be done, don't you think?
No. It's something that should have happened in the
Oh, we are aggressive.
Yes. At sometimes we need to reset the narrative. Why would an oil producing country in the first place depend on importation of petrol products? And when the prices go up in the international market, in order to cushion the effect of increase in local, they now have to subsidize.
Yes.
Now we have to go back to that question. And again, let me say this quickly: there's nothing wrong with subsidy. Governments all over the world subsidize 1 or 2 basic items for their citizens. It could be education, it could be healthcare, it could be public housing, it could be public transportation, it could be food, it could be all of this. So why is anybody quarreling with the concept of subsidy? So the subsidy is not the problem, it's not. And again, there's also a fallacy that we must debunk, and debunk it very well. Someone have told us in 1999 that subsidy does not benefit the poor. And I look at them and I wonder what anybody's thinking. How can the subsidy of petrol does not benefit the poor? They'll tell them because only a few Nigerians use cars and it's only the and I laugh again. The poor may not have a car, but he rides it again after it. What does the game of he takes commercial vehicle, he rides on motorbike, he uses generator for his personal business. And he also now depends on those of us that own cars for certain kind of services. If I'm a medical doctor, for example, I own a car and I pay higher for my own energy use, I will add it to the cost of healthcare for that woman. If I own a spare part dealership for cars, that woman is just going to ride on vehicles that will depend on my spare parts, and I have to pay higher for my own energy needs, I will put the cost on the spare part. And the spare part will invariably increase the price of transportation for the poor man. So I think we should stop living in denial of the.
Let's ask even transport of market produce too.
from the farm stand to the market, everything runs on petrol in this country because we don't have an alternative to petrol. Petrol is the live wire of Nigeria's economy. Petrol is what keeps us running because we don't even have adequate power supply. So people run on petrol powered generators. Majority of us. So why would anybody imagine that subsidy, at least the little subsidy you are getting on petrol, does not get to the poor? That's a fallacy. Now the question is, why is government still subsidizing petrol after all these years? Simple. Irresponsibility, corruption, and complete neglect of our oil and gas infrastructure, particularly our refineries. How can an oil producing country not able to refine its own domestic need for petroleum products? And let me say this, all over the world, I mean all over the world, China, North America, Western Europe, government subsidizes the production of hydrocarbons. So even if you have refineries functioning in Nigeria, you will still have to subsidize, particularly at the production level. So you can do, you can now inject the subsidy into production. Now the problem with this subsidy is that we're subsidizing importation. That is the anomaly. If you are subsidizing importation,
Oh, yes.
and so it has no value directly in our economy other than just making our life a little bit easier. So nobody is comfortable with actually subsidizing importation. But we have to first stop importation before moving the subsidy because it's not the fault of Nigeria. It's not my fault. It's not your fault.
That the refineries are not working.
So the person who is responsible for the refinery who has failed to carry that responsibility should go and first do the needful. Then we cannot talk about, okay, how do we recalibrate this subsidy support towards hydrocarbon production or even the refining process? Because as an oil producing country, we must, a matter of right, fundamental human right, enjoy lower prices of petroleum than a non-oil producing country. It's something that we cannot compromise, we cannot sacrifice it. You cannot have a well of water in your family compound and then be better to pay for water at the same price as the person, your neighbor who doesn't have a well, wants to come and buy from you to pay for it. It is voodoo economics. It makes no sense. Because I'm not buying the price of Toyota in Nigeria is not the same price in Japan. The price of certain goods that are imported from China is not the same price in China as it is in Nigeria. Because they have the advantage of being the producers of this thing. So we must go back to the basics. Why are our refineries not working? Why is government not building more refineries? And that brings you back to the collaborative structure I've always interrogated. Government cannot leave the means of production entirely to the private sector. There are three key sectors that government must be fully involved in, fully, alongside private investors, private participants. But there are these key sectors that are the building blocks of our economy: energy, power, and iron and steel. The government of Nigeria at all levels, not just the federal government, not just the federal government, states, local government, and federal government must be involved in petroleum refining for the purpose of energy security, as much as they should be involved in power generation, distribution, and transmission for the purpose of, again, energy security for industries and homes, and iron and steel, so that we can stop importing iron and steel from other countries where we can produce. So agriculture has to be revitalized. Government has to be involved in all these three. And if the federal government cannot do this, state government of Kogi, for example, should take over the Dakota State plants, complete it, and run it as a state-owned enterprise profitably. Secondly, let us interrogate the Niger Delta state government. How come no state in the entire Niger Delta has a refinery? When there is no law preventing a state like Bayelsa, a state like Delta, a state like Akwa Ibom, a state like Rivers, a state like Imo, a state like Ondo, Abia, why do they not have refineries of their own? So sometimes, for those that want devolution of powers, we should make it to devolve the responsibility to the states. Why are state governments not investing their monthly allocation, their 30% devolution, in the construction of refineries that will bring in more revenue for them? Imagine if a state like Delta, Rivers, Bayelsa, are able to meet up with the need of Nigerians. Do you know how many billions of dollars will flow to the cost of those states? The billions of dollars are spending to subsidize or to import. Imagine you going to those 7 states in the Niger Delta. Do you know what's happened to those states? If one man can build a refinery, how come the state cannot build a refinery? What is happening with our economics? So sometimes, when we think the federal should fix its own refineries and build more, state governments. In the US, it is state where I care of petroleum affairs. States, state-run port, state-owned port, state. You don't have federal petroleum laws in the US, it is state petroleum laws now. So why are stakeholders that are asking for devolution of power not able to build refineries? Look at the Obasanjo cement factory in Kogi. That factory made Dangote the richest man in Africa. Imagine that factory was owned by the state government. And wrong.
And just like what you said, Niger Delta as a whole, we have been able to put up a.
So imagine if that cement factory it belongs to the state government. What that means that the billions of naira today that Dangote is having on the richest black man in the world. What have been owned by the state government. What kind of money they will construct all the roads, not in rural areas. Provide quality public housing, quality public schooling, quality public health care. The government has business in business. The government must do business. The government must run SOEs. I think how God is voodoo comes from. The government has done business in business, which has taken us down the road. So I'm still integrating the social. I'm talking to all political leaders to say, change this philosophy. I don't want to say government has business in business. 10 of the biggest oil companies in the world are state-owned. So they are Gazprom of Russia, Petronas of Malaysia, Petrobras of Brazil, Chinese National Oil Company, name it. They are state-owned. If a government cannot run businesses, it has no business being in government. We should begin to have a team. So for me, Absalom is right. All of them that have raised issues, they are right. But I do not think that the solution will be a strike or a protest. Let us start having a new thinking about to solve this problem once and for all. And let us put an agenda for the incoming government. You see, that will be a democracy. By next year, we'll begin the election.
Yes.
Let both parties adopt this philosophy of government having business in business. And for the parties to commit that all of Accord Niger Delta, look, my dear sister, if government is going to take loans, let them take loans to build refineries.
Yes.
They can bring in money immediately. You don't take loans to build railway. No. Build refinery. Go buy petrol, then the profit from that to railway. Railway is a social project. It's not a capital project. It cannot pay back those loans. So if you want any loan at all, put it in a refinery. Something that has a red market. That market is so light that we have to import to fill it up. Please, why not borrow money and produce and make money from this market? So if you're taking loans, put it in things that can bring in direct revenue, immediately waiting revenue. And so we need a new set of thinking because there's nothing one can do about it. They didn't prepare for today. You see, when this government came in 2016 and decided to remove subsidy initially, and petrol price shot up from 87 to 145 naira, I raised the concern and said this will continuously go up because you don't have the means to control the production. You are depending on importation. Now, apart from the fact that the oil market is not.
But you know they were still paying. Sorry, initially they were calling it under recovery.
No, at first they removed it completely.
Okay.
And projected that the price would come down to 145 due to market forces. I said, you are not in control of the market forces. The limit to which that principle can apply in this system because you are dependent on importation. And foreign exchange differential will continue to depreciate against Naira because the pressure alone on importation of petroleum products, this level, talking about 19 billion liters per annum, 19 billion liters. That's what Nigeria is set to consume. That alone will make the Naira continuously fall against the dollar. But the pressure to get dollars to buy import, that alone will keep the price continuously going up. So it's not going to come down. But when the price went up beyond 145, the landing cost went beyond 145, the government could not summon the courage to increase the price because they knew that their promise that the price would rather come down and go up. So they started under the cost from that point. And the recovery became so much that they now have to adjust price upwards to what you're paying now. But the under recovery is not that if you allow the real price to apply, it's going to be almost 400 naira per liter, which is unrealistic. In Saudi Arabia, every month they adjust the petroleum price. They subsidize. Every single month they bring out a new price because government must subsidize. But because they have the capacity to produce, refine, and market, so they're in control of the pricing mechanism 100%. So they look at the social factors as okay, since the cost of production has increased to this level, government is going to undertake to pay so and so number of reals to make the price still affordable. Because you know that energy affordability is what is the real issue in energy security. It is about affordability. Without that, you have a political crisis. A country can become a failed state overnight because of high cost of energy. It is that serious. That's what keeps us alive. That is the oxygen of our economy. And so those that are warning know what they are saying. So government must be serious. You cannot talk about we are subsidy at this time when you are still driving SUVs. I watched a meeting on Nigerian government forum last night. I saw them alighting from different exotic SUVs come to discuss subsidy removal. Drop those SUVs first. I'd go and buy nursing vehicles, saloon cars as governors. One each I'm using first. Cut down the presidential fleet, cut down the cost of running government, cut down all of these excesses first. Then we can now begin to talk about what citizens need to sacrifice in the immediate before we restore our refining capacity. It is a shame. It's an abomination. It is a sacrilege that an oil producing country is importing refined petroleum product. That is the conversation we should be having. But again, I do not think strike or even protest can happen because there's nothing we can do at this point.
So, if I may also chip in, Mr. Majid, we are expecting Dangote's refinery to come on stream maybe mid this year or towards the end of this year. And we also don't forget that we also have 3 modular refineries, one in Edo, other one in Akwa Ibom. I forgot where the other one is in other state. So isn't it too premature for you to say that you want to hike?
No, the thing is, the burden on government is much. And you can see that the writer that says,
But we're already in 2022. And
NNPC
we expect that when these refineries come on stream, it will invariably bring the price.
No, there are 2 things you must
for
consider.
import too.
There are 2 things you must consider. These refineries combined so far still cannot meet up with domestic demand. And there's no guarantee that the price will come down because except one puts in place a policy that gives crude oil to these refineries for domestic consumption at discounted rates. There's no guarantee that if they buy crude at the price of international markets, at the rate of international market prices from the Nigerian authorities, that they can sell anything beef. So that the difference will not be so much. Maybe shipping cost and maybe landing cost, it will be so much. And if Dangote can sell his petroleum outside of the country and make more money, it's not under any obligation to sell to you. That's why the state must come in. That's why the state comes in. The state must come in to put certain parameters in place to make sure that Dangote, other private refineries, and even any other government refinery will sell petrol at a particular price that is commensurate with certain factors of affordability, accessibility, and availability, which means Nigerians will buy petrol at an affordable, knowing the fact that we know the amount we earn as what we call it minimum wage. You know our standard of living. So you need to price this commodity so that it will not disrupt our meager, our modest standard of living. In fact, in the case of Nigeria, it is already with a poor standard of living, very, very poor, very low. So anything that will disrupt it will be catastrophic. And government might lose the percent of its legitimacy if you increase price of petrol to the amount we are hearing them trying to increase it. Even some of the most well-paid Nigerians cannot afford it. So we have come to, this is like the ultimate consequence of our foolish economic policies since 1999. This is not speculative government. The refusal to fix refineries since 1999 is what has gotten us to this level. So at this point, this government also came in and added to the problem. But we need a new set of thinking, and we must set an agenda for the incoming administration. Both leading parties should adopt and commit to this principle of government having business doing business. Otherwise, we will still have this conversation forever, and there will be no solution.
It's something that successive governments have been banding with. Oh, we don't have any business paying subsidy. We are going to remove subsidy today. We are not going to remove it. And it's been an ongoing, lingering issue.
Since 1999, it's been there.
So, what is your solution once and for all?
Government should change its economic thinking. The government can no longer afford to leave the means of production.
It should be for the incoming government because this one is already.
There's nothing government can do about it. And I'm saying, even if we don't strike, it only wasn't the problem because if you have a situation where there's no availability, it will disrupt activities. And it might lead to something more than NSAS as conned from Salami. And I have that fear. So we need a conversation now towards thinking the rethinking the flawed economic philosophy that brought us down this road. But in the meantime, I think the government actually suspend and prioritize petroleum subsidy until a new government comes in that will start the process of revamping local capacity so that we won't have to pay subsidy for too long before we begin to become self-sufficient in refined petroleum. Because if you ask me, between something that is worse than NSAS and for government to continuously strain itself to pay, I think one should continue to pay subsidy.
But about 9 point something million dollars was also allocated for to revamp the refineries.
That is where the issue of corruption comes in. How can you allocate such amount of money and we are not seeing the results? What is wrong with our system? We need a government that is good enough to interrogate that system, tackle it and correct it.
And another thing, you talked about government doing business. Government has business doing business. There were during President Obasanjo's time, he tried to privatize the refinery, and is it NLC Nupeng they threatened strike,
Yes.
and that they had to refund the money. So what should be done in this?
You see, privatization has failed in Nigeria. You know why? You can't privatize a rotten state-owned enterprise. You can't do that. You must run a state-owned enterprise to a level of high efficiency, capability to deliver goods and services to the people.
Because we are seeing a situation whereby the refineries are not working, yet the workers have been earning salary since time.
That's because government is not doing business. In what is business, we don't do that. It should put the refinery to work, pay the workers on the profit from the refinery. That's what I'm advocating. So that government owns business does not mean it is doing business. Some people confuse the fact that government is owning refinery, pay salaries. That's the point I'm making. They're not doing business. You see, government doing business starts with making public sector efficient, reform of the public service, government making common sense decisions based on economics and not politics. That is what is meant by government doing business. So, I'll give an example. The government is able to run its own refineries efficiently, very efficiently. Government cannot say that we want to expand these refineries, but we need capital. So what do? Who is interested in partnering with us? Bring social amount of money. We have social amount of money. We want to expand these 4 refineries to 20 in the next 2 years. So your capital will come in. So if we expand, you make a profit, you make a profit, and life goes on. Win-win. Now, that is also a form of doing business. But what will always retain equity in all of these inventions because one, government will convert its own part of its own equity to subsidy. That is okay. I'm like, what's part of my profit for you to bring down the price of petrol for my citizens? Because the ability of citizens to live a good life is profit for government.
Yeah.
Secondly, government also have revenue stream from the same business, especially when it begins to export from petroleum abroad. Now, if you don't run NNPC in that manner, you won't have serious investors coming in. That was why privatization failed. When the mistake of thinking you cannot bundle public enterprise like which private sector, no serious investor will come to invest in any economy that the public sector is not working functionally. No. That's why when Saudi Aramco, which was emerged as the world most valuable company in 2018, as a state-owned enterprise, a year later when he wanted to divest 1.5% of his shares, not 1.5%, out of 100, it was subscribed by over $4 trillion. People are interested, people are eager to invest in Saudi Arabia because they know it is successful. And the people have been on sale forever. No serious investors want to buy. You cannot sell a moribund enterprise to anybody. What would I be doing with it? Nitel was not successfully sold. In fact, the people that came to buy enterprises in Nigeria were what you call undertakers. Those are who are just copied as agents of state capture. No, it failed. You see, it didn't actually fall around. Nigeria always failed as public. It failed more as public. Now, I don't know Nigeria Airways. The carcass has been buried completely. But if you have been running Nigeria Airways efficiently, the same way Upper State government is running from air efficiently now, and if you want to divest shares, companies will be running after you to buy it because they know it is efficient. The day Ethiopian Airlines decides to divest shares to the public, but Ethiopian Airlines is a state-owned enterprise. The day they decide to say, okay, we want to sell efficient. The day they say, okay, we want to sell shares, the investors will be jumping over themselves to acquire it because they know it's profitable. When you put your $1, $2, $3 billion in Ethiopia, sit down and cross your leg monthly, you get your dividend. But if I say about Nigerian refineries, you can't. So you can't privatize when when government is not doing business. So it takes a government doing business to privatize efficiently. So when we say government is doing business, it does not mean you're going to shut out politics. But it's not socialism, it's not communism. It means government is serious enough to galvanize, run, and pay its own part efficiently and behind of even the private sector individuals in the run of the economy. That's what we are trying to say. We have taken this fallacy too far. So when now sits down and is doing only business. Let me give you an example to show you how the urgency to have a rethink is very, very imperative. We passed the PIA bill. Somebody was saying yesterday that NNPC is not a private company, and I'm laughing. Look at the quality, the caliber of people that the president appointed into the board and management of NNPC. You brought back Nigeria from the state, old NNPC to the new one. You retain most of the structures. In the board, you now brought the wife of a former running mate and rewarded her with return on the board. This is a government that is not. This is a government simply not doing business. Even NNPC have become private. Look at the way government is still running it. This is what we are saying. Mrs. Okadibo is qualified to be anybody in this position, but she should be appointed based on her skill sets, her qualification, her credibility, and what she can do best. And it could have even been the DG of Nigerian Organization Agency. It can mean everything. But I do not know her antecedent in oil and gas enough to be the chairman of the board of NNPC. This is what I'm talking about. Ignorant the business will not do this. We not appoint people based on friendship into critical sectors of the economy like the NNPC. So this is what is meant by government doing business. It will not be nepotistic. It will be sectional. It is policy decision will be guided by economic common sense, not political expediency. So that is the kernel of government doing business. I will have no option. This thing you are saying, more than banditry, more than terrorism, more than IPOB, has the capability to destabilize this country. This thing you are saying. Another one is warning. That warning should be taken seriously. So government should go and look for how to maintain this subsidy at this level. So that not have endured increase in price to 165. We should look for how to sustain it until a solution is found. Any increment in price will be disastrous.
All right. I have to agree with you because you are heightening the tension again. Anyway, away from leadership on this plan, the fuel price hike, we are moving over to our sister publication, National Economy. National Economy says Nigeria's GDP has growth potential of $100 billion with way interstate connectivity. Nigeria's GDP has growth potential of $100 billion with way interstate connectivity. That is
it's a possibility because it will unlock all the potentials, integrate the economic potentials within the country for effort competitiveness. But again, these rail lines will have to be connected using a policy that is guided by economic common sense. Don't just take a rail to your village because you're the minister for transport or the president and commander in chief. You have to, imagine linking Kano and Aba with railway, and then extending from Aba to Port Harcourt, which is the nearest seaport. And then you transport heights and skin from Kano to Aba to the shoemaker to process into shoes and take it to Port Harcourt, export it to the west coast of Africa. And then the circular flow of income through Port Harcourt port, through Aba and to Kano that is linked by rail, we continuously expand jobs along the value chain. This is one example. And the many examples are going. You see, need to integrate Nigerian communities within. I know I was against linking Nigeria to Maradi through rail before completing internal rail network within the country. When you do that, you cannot begin to talk about export competitiveness. And rail transportation is key to the movement of goods and services. Yes. It's more sustainable than road transportation.
It is.
Yes. So this is a very, this report is something that policymakers should take note of and act on it. This is like an open up. I would hope people are listening and reading.
So we're going to be going on a short break now. When we come back, we'll be reviewing the last paper we have this morning. Please don't go away. Stay tuned.
sponsorship, and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Welcome back. This is Inside Nigeria on Leadership Television. My name is Winnie Felubebo, and let's have with me in the studio Mr. Majid Ayu, who is a public affairs analyst.
Thank you very much.
So we are reviewing our last paper we have on the menu this morning, and it's this day newspaper. On this day says Buhari, El-Rufai is writing his history in letters of gold. President Muhammad Buhari, El-Rufai is writing his history in letters of gold. Vows never to let anyone impose himself on Nigerians. This is politics. 2023 is just 11 months away. And Buhari says he will not allow anyone to impose himself on Nigerians. I would know we would be having so many entrants into the ring, let's say, for presidency. So what's your view on that? Is he issuing a warning or
We veiled reference to some people,
it's very rough.
and then the picture story on the front of the newspaper is suggestive of okay, who could the president be referring to? Well, first, on the El-Rufai story, I think about when it comes to infrastructure, everybody seems to agree with that, even though his tenure, yes, he has a chance of written in God's name, but his mismanagement of the diversity of particularly about the Aboriginal people in that state, that have seen crisis escalate in southern Kaduna axis of that country, which has now aided and abated full-blown terrorism across the state, is something to worry about. And well, I'm happy also he has recently changed his stance on some of those issues by now calling for outright military action against terrorists. And I think the government seems to always take a cue from what El-Rufai is saying, because of course, the presence between Governor El-Rufai and the president is public knowledge. Once Governor El-Rufai decided that those people are terrorists and the terrorists, everyone has done so. So I hope that actions will now be taken fully to bring about a closure to the incidences of bloodletting in that state. But beyond that, as a developmental-minded, and he seems to have transformed the landscape of the president. And that is quite commendable. It means a lot can be done even within the limited resources available to state governments. El-Rufai, Zulu, and question example, Governor Wiki as well. As an example of how the possibility that can still be achieved within the confines of executive powers of the state government. So that is quite commendable. Now, on the issue of why not to let anyone impose himself on Nigerians, that is the responsibility of the president. We are a democracy. And the question of anybody trying to impose himself shouldn't even arise. But the best way for the president to carry out this vow is to sign the Electoral Act into law. Once he does that, nobody will be able to impose himself or herself on Nigerians. So the president has the opportunity to actually carry out this vow, which is good. Nobody will be able to impose himself on Nigerians. Even some people that might be insinuating, even though I do not like sort of insinuation without speaking on facts. That could he be referring to the gentleman on the front page of the story of the story, photo story on the front page of this newspaper, who has come out to inform him he wants the president after him, and who is going around, in a majestic, in a very confident manner, and making consultations, and who seems to be the front runner now in his party. So could it make reference to him, because in what he said, he has somebody that is his preferred candidate and will not need for people are not getting eliminated. But beyond those speculations and conspiracy theories, I think that the best way to carry out this vow is to sign the Electoral Act into law and mandate INEC to conduct elections in a free, fair, and peaceful manner that is reflective of the wishes of the Nigerian people. That will be the only legacy that will get his name also written in gold letters as he's wishing it right now.
Yes, as he's going that he will not elect anyone. I hope he himself will also not impose anyone.
And that's what I'm saying. He should sign the electoral act that prevent anybody, including himself, from imposing anybody on us. Then as for the Tinubu story,
Please.
I think Tinubu has taken the right step in coming up to say, I want to be president. It's sometimes we need to begin to see people come out and say, I want to be. Not somebody ask me to come and be. This is a good step. Whether or not Nigerians will accept him is a different ball. But I think he's beginning to take certain steps to realize his ambition. And that's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If everything is right with that, he's going around, he's going to states, he's paying visits, he's consulting. So we all want a president like Tinubu should continue along this line, should do his part now, go out, consult, sell your candidacy, sell your manifesto, tell people why you want a president. And as long as the president keeps his role of allowing a level playing field for everybody, I'm sure everybody can emerge if the people actually want to. So I think it is a good thing that Tinubu is doing for democracy as a matter of fact. It's making us, more anticipatory about the success of our next election. So I think everything is working out for good, provided the president keeps to his word of promoting a free and fair, credible election.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Maji. Thank you for spending time to be here today on Inside Nigeria. Well, viewers, this is where we end today's program, Inside Nigeria. It's been a roller coaster.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, viewers. We hope to see you same time next week on Monday. And here is wishing you to have a beautiful weekend and, of course, stay safe. It's your responsibility to stay safe. Thank you so much. My name remains Winifred Igbo. Look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.